Hello, everybody. How's it going? My throat is a little weird right now. Oh, I forgot to open up my camera. There we go. Okay. Hello. My throat is a little scratchy right now. I don't know if I'm getting sick or if I have done like permanent damage to my throat by like coughing too much. That would suck. How's it going? Hope everybody had a good day today. A nice Sunday. I think today's Sunday. Yeah, I don't know. The weekend? Not for me. Not for me. Retail workers don't get weekends off. Hello, everybody. We are, back again with our Suzerain run where we're being, like, corrupt, I think? We're being corrupt socialists. I think. You know what? I'll tell you what. Let's not do this run. Let's do a different run. Let's do a Rizia run instead. I kind of want to try the Theocratic run. Don't get me wrong, I prefer Swordland over Rizia any day of the week, but I think I would really like to play Theocratic. This is Theocratic. Door. Theocratic door. How does that sound? We will not be playing Anton Rain, we will be playing Ramus Taurus. I don't know much about... I still don't know much about Rizia other than your monarchy. But we're gonna be going for pure religion. I haven't finished the previous save. That's chill. Previous story in this save. If you wish to continue, you'll need to select a main character archetype. Oh, right. So I can pick a previous Anton Rain because I didn't play through Swordland. So if you play... Oh, that's not on the screen. Sorry, my bad. So if you don't play through... If you play through the previous campaigns, and then you, like, play them one at a time, they will take your previous character, and then do that. But I think I'll just pick one. The Idealist. Regionalist, pragmatic man of the people. Pragmatic leader who balanced solace traditions with populist reforms, earning the trust of the common citizens. Charismatic, idealistic. He presents himself as a man of the people, promising a new era of unity and prosperity. Authoritarian, idealist, Eastern aligned. Globalist, flexible, Western aligned. Upstanding businessman and a survivor of Swordish politics above all else. Western aligned yet pragmatic, he plays all sides to secure his vision of a globally integrated Swordland. Strong-willed populist who can rally crowds with his vision of a powerful and united Swordland. Eastern aligned and deeply idealistic, he sees national strength and sovereignty as the highest priority. Let's go with the populist. I mean, the idealist makes sense, but... yeah. There we go. That's pretty chill. But hello, everybody. Alright, let's do a Rizia run. Monarch, your reign and your abode, your scepter and the orb you hold. And eyeing the ground on which you trod, all will be dust when you are cold. Indeed. You open your eyes to this realm. Becoming a king was never your choice. It was your birthright. That's right. That's right. From a young age, you knew you were no ordinary child. You were Ramus Taurus, grandson of Queen Liza, ruler of all of Rizia. Son of Crown Prince Valero, the Duke of Valenquirus. For most of the year, you lived with your father Valero and your mother Stella in a lavish palace atop the cliffs of Monquis. Each summer, though, you... Give me just a second. Meow, meow, meow. Meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Alright, let me look. Hang on. Hang on, I'm looking at my coworkers' texts. Alright, hang on. Almost. Well, I guess tell me how your day's going, lads. Do anything fun today? I woke up this morning. I went to sleep at 2 last night, and I woke up at 6. Because I was talking to I was organizing, as they say. And, I woke up this morning and my cherry moonshine had exploded all over my, my kitchen sink. It was very funny. It probably has again. I'd have to go look. Each summer, you visited your mother common-born family at your home by the Zeal Harbor. Your grandparents were fisher people of modest means, and staying with them helped you feel grounded. Every autumn you returned home a little wiser. It felt good having to care for relatives. Idiot, what? Fine. Felt good caring for relatives. Queen Liza died, the whole country grieved, but the mourning could only last for so long. There was a new king to crown. You remember 2 things about King Valero's coronation. The whispers that Hugo, now the Duke of Valenquirus, was actually the rightful king, and the shouts of protesters outside the palace gates, alone with your father after the ceremony. You. Asked him about the rumors, asked him about the protests, didn't mention either. Ask about the protests. Your father laughed and told you that some people had come to believe Rizia shouldn't be ruled by a monarch anymore, but of course he reassured you they were wrong. I've had my doubts. Life in Port Jazan was less exciting than you expected. You were tutored privately and rarely had contact with non-royals. At the palace, the closest person to your age was Pabel, the groundskeeper's son, a quiet but friendly kid who knew about every plant in the gardens. You are Pabel's friend. Am I? Close friends? You were cut off from the world beyond the palace walls, but it gave you more time for self-reflection. During these formative years, you realized, I think normal difficulty would be fine. Royal privilege came with unbelievable pressure. Balancing the two would be your life's work. Make moonshine again, even though I just made some a month ago? Yeah! I think after I get my 6 gallons of liquor and wine done, I think I'll cut it down to like 1 gallon, and I'll just have like a constantly rotating like alcohol stash and supply. I plan on buying like the quart bottles and stuff like that, and like filling them up, and then like giving 3 bottles out and then keeping 1 in reserve to age, you know? I think that'd be cool. I was doing your task and he decided not to let me do it, and I was to tell him that's my job if was assigned for that task, and he started to yell at me for no reason at all, and Our supervisors did nothing about it. What do you do for work, Brandon? What do you do for work, Brandon? Because if you are honestly telling me that you want to do ship work, I might have to say you're kind of silly-coded. You only make some once every 4 months. Do you keep it seasonal, Cherry? Because I know, like, I'm making a cherry moonshine right now, but I really wanted to use, like, Rainier cherries, but they're only in season towards the end of the year. So I was like, well, if I keep, like, a gallon on rotation, I can try seasonal flavors. Hello, George. Hello, Madalitz. And hello, Quev. Hello, Olivia. Hello, B. When you came of age, your father invited you to start sitting in the Royal Council meetings. You decided to join the military university that you would love to join. Let's go to the army, dude. At the prestigious Camp Domus Academy, in the mountains of Monteclar, you learned about war strategy and combat tactics. One day, the Royal War Counselor General Tadea Cesaro came to visit. He announced a military campaign on Pales, a former part of Rizia that had long belonged to the Empire of Valgos. Now that the Empire had fallen, he said that the time was right to take the region back. You. Time to reconquer, thought it was a lost cause, didn't have an opinion either way. You weren't allowed to fight on the ground, so you watched from General Azara's headquarters as the Reclamation War dragged on. It seems like an easy victory until your northern neighbor Lesbia got involved, sending weapons and financial aid to Pales. Dissent began brewing among your fellow recruits. Told Dad to crack down on traitors. Crack down on the traitors. You're a cleaner. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. Hello, Neon. I was assigned to do the mopping and sweeping. He wouldn't let me do it, and then he started yelling at me, and our supervisor did nothing about it. He just asked, "Are you done with the bathrooms?" And I'm like, "Are you serious?" Well, did your coworker do the job? Because, I mean, I would have just called that an easy day. Hey, Soviet, what's up, man? A few arrests were made, but the fire had been lit. The next day, General Azaro burst into headquarters with the news that the Navy had mutinied. Bloody clashes between pro- and anti-monarchists were erupting across the country. The century of revolutions had reached Rizia at last. The king insisted you be driven back to the capital immediately. As you left Monteclar, through an unmarked car swerved in front of you, blocking the road. A trio of masked men with guns jumped out, quickly overpowering your guards and forcing you out of the vehicle. You complied with their demands. You recognized one of their voices. Lucas Suzerain, Duke of Brennus and the head of Rizia's Third Royal House. A hood went over your head, then darkness. She wasn't supposed to do the wiping down of the toilets and the sinks, he mirrors. But he decided to do my job and get fussy over it, like I don't know what his problem was. If someone made him or something, I don't know. Me personally, I would be chill about it. I make minimum wage, so if somebody wants to go and do my job while I do nothing, I would be chill. But maybe that's just me. Hello, Jordan. Hello, Thunderclaw. They held you captive for nearly a week. When rescue finally came, it was in the form of a man with a white, blue, and magenta flag on his fatigues. That's Wayland's flag. At the palace, you pieced together what had happened. In desperation, your father had pleaded for the aid of Rizia's northern neighbor Wayland to neutralize the uprising. But that help came at a price. Over the next year, the two nations worked out an agreement to transfer control of the port of Zeal and its surrounding region, home to rich natural resources and millions of people. For the next 25 years, Zeal would belong to Wayland. You thanked them for restoring order. The uprising had other consequences. The traitor Lucas Suzerain was executed and his pregnant wife sent into exile. As further punishment, Isa, the capital city of Brennus and the Cezanne's ancestral home, was handed over to your family. Your uncle Hugo was sent to serve as its steward. In turn, you were able to take place as a reigning Duke of Valenqueris. At your childhood home in Monquis, you, punishing a remaining trait, largely ignore your duties, did your best to help rebuild the region. Valenqueris came to see you as a generous, capable leader. One day, the king came for an unannounced visit. He brought with him a pale, thin young man with striking blue eyes. Hesitantly, she introduced herself as Lena Livingston, the sister of Queen Beatrice of Rumburg and your wife-to-be. You kissed her hand. King Valero told you that he had no choice. While Wayland descending into civil war, Rizia needed a new ally. A partnership with the Kingdom of Rumburg, cemented with an arranged marriage, was in the best interest of both monarchies. Besides, he added, you would surely grow to love her. He was right. He was right. I did love her. Can you repeat that? Your internet's kind of bad. Oh, sorry, Cherry. I wanted to ask, since you do it every 4 months, do you do seasonal flavors? Like, do you like rotate out like seasonal ingredients that come in and out? Because I wanted to do a Rainier Cherry Moonshine, but the Rainier Cherries are only available towards the end of the year. They're only in season at the end of the year. Is there lore about my model? There is. You and Lena began having hours-long conversations about your royal upbringings, hopes, and dreams. By the time you lifted her veil, you knew it was true love. The years after your wedding and the birth of your daughter Vina were the happiest of your life. The only trouble was... that your royal duties left you too busy to spend time with your family. Indeed. You did that 1 year? What are your... Cherry, what are your go-to flavors? Something that kind of matched the seasons I did it in? Ah, that's interesting, interesting. With Rumburg's help, Rizzy... Because right now I'm making a honey mead, a blueberry wine, a cherry moonshine, a peach wine, a strawberry mango wine, and a coffee, and a vanilla espresso. I'm making 6 of those gallons, and I want to taste... I'm having like a tasting for my coworkers. Excuse me. Come and do a cherry one next time? Yeah. I want to see if I can get like a little distilling cistern so I can blow my building up. With Rumburg's help, Rizzia's economy bounced back to levels it hadn't been since the glory days of Queen Liza. Wealthy Rumburgians started moving to cities, so did economic migrants from neighboring Morella and Dardia. And Wejek seeking asylum from the Civil War, you became religious. Secretly glad that few of them were suspicious, celebrated Rizzia's new diversity. Many of the foreigners ended up in the province of Brennus, where a nationalist movement called Su Omnia began demanding that the king put Rizzia above all. As Duke of Isa, your uncle Hugo turned a blind eye to Su Omnia's activities, while his teenage son Ricardus became a vocal supporter. Eventually, Ricardus, better known as Rico, approached you about speaking at one of the group's rallies. I attended. I agreed. You threw your weight behind Su Omnia, increasing the group's legitimacy and following. Your parents were displeased, but said nothing. A few years passed. You slowly realized that the uprising had broken something in your father. You began neglecting his duties as he became increasingly preoccupied with threats, both real and imaginary. Outside the country, he gained a new nickname, Valera the Frail. You found yourself under more and more pressure to make up for your father's shortcomings. Lena was patient and understanding, one of the many things you loved about her. For her 10th birthday, Vina asked to go on a sailing trip with the two of you. Decided to get some work done. You were in your office when you got the call. The weather had turned stormy in the middle of the Gulf of Valenqueiris when the captain tried to turn the boat around. It was hit by a breaking wave and cracked in half. The Coast Guard managed to save Vina on time, but by the time they pulled your wife out, she was barely breathing. You rushed to the hospital, and she died holding your hand. You did somewhat of a peach flavor a lot? Yeah, that's a pretty common one. People love the schnapps, don't they, folks? We love schnapps, don't we, folks? You were devastated. After the funeral, your mother Estella came to visit and found you hardly able to function. She promptly moved in to help out with Vina. Hugo suggested you turn to Rushism, Rizzia's official religion, to cope with your loss. In faith, you found solace. Meanwhile, the situation in the capital worsened. Rizzian nationalists continued protesting the loss of zeal in the country's growing pluralism. Rumors spread that an anti-monarchist movement was growing once more. Several long-operating gold mines were depleting as the expenses of the kingdom grew. Your father called Hugo back from Isa to keep an eye on the council. Increased the gold production for +1 budget per turn. You wondered what the country was coming to. Even with Hugo advising him as Grand Vizier, King Valero seemed powerless to address the escalating tensions. Hugo suggested that the king that you be entrusted with certain responsibilities. Upon agreement from the king and the royal council, you were granted the opportunity to aid as the crown prince. You chose to concentrate on increase the gold production, increasing gold extraction and importing tax efficiency. Outsiders also took notice of the king's decline. One of them was Axel Reinhardt, the new ruler of the Grand Duchy of Pales. He sent you an invitation to visit him on 2 conditions. You were to go alone and without your father's knowledge. I accept. It was your first time in Pales since childhood. You were surprised at how modern everything seemed now. Duke Reinhardt welcomed you to his palace. He said he was hoping to re-establish relations with Rizia once you became king. You only be possible once Pales rejoined Rizia. Said you were looking forward to putting the past behind you. The Duke was satisfied with your answer. You spent the next few days getting to know him and the duchy better afterwards. Lied. A few days later, the king summoned you to the capital for a confrontation. He had his personal security forces, the Golden Guard, surveil you in Pales. He accused you of betrayal and ordered you to tell him about your meeting with the Duke. I kept my mouth shut. As Vina grew into an intelligent, self-reliant young woman, your mother moved from Monquis back to the capital. She called you one night, her voice shaking. The king was dying. You did a banana one? You didn't like it, Cherry? Interesting. I thought about doing a banana one as well. Guess what my sister made Goosebump cake for my birthday? I'm 39. Do you know I just had my birthday? Happy birthday, Crystal. You can try to ask your friend happy birthday to mattress out of my birthday. My birthday is over right now. Crystal, I'm gonna put you in timeout for a while. Or, no, see you, Crystal. Bye. Help you break up with your boyfriend, okay? No thanks. Good luck. Hello, Tristan. Doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo. He'd gone straight to bed after dinner. When your mother went to check in on him, she found him comatose in the bedroom. The doctor suspected a heart attack. Rushed to see him. Your father looked pale as a ghost. It took all his effort to speak. In a hoarse whisper, he warned you not to follow in his footsteps. Your reign would be a fresh start for House Taurus, a new chance to take back the lands that were lost. He closed his eyes. Only after his funeral, gathered at the palace with your mother and daughter, did the realization begin to dawn on you. From the day you were born, your entire life had been leading to this moment. Now it was finally here. King Romus. Party loved it, though? Oh, interesting, Cherry. Fascinating. Alright, let's make a king. What, we need, like, a religious outfit. We have to be balding. Balding with a beard? Those are religious robes. Religious robes. Background should be gold, of course. With gold glasses? Nah. Thin glasses, I suppose. Bald. A fucking Northern Lion posting. Forced you to make it again, that's funny. Hey, Tori. What is happening in this video? What do you mean, this video? There's no video... What do you mean, this video? This stream? Rizian National Coalition ascended in 1950. Very good. Very good indeed. We are going for absolutism. As King Romus Taurus, you have extensive power to enact shape the course of the Golden Kingdom. By choosing different focus options, you can gain different strategic advantages. Opting for absolutism would solidify monarchic traditions within House Taurus, while considering reform aligns with House Sazon and the Rizian's People Party, signaling a shift towards wider civic participation and resource redistribution. Conversely, the status quo upholds the current balance of power and provincial autonomy. Absolutism? A focus on strengthening our resource economy involves leveraging natural assets and safeguarding long-term energy commitments. Alternatively, diversifying the economy beyond resource reliance aims for a balanced financial landscape, mitigating over-reliance risks. A mixed strategy offers more flexibility. Let's diversify the economy. Ooh, look at those numbers, dude. Your sister's gay, Lav? Gotcha. The stream is keep getting those confused? I don't know what that means, Tristan. Oh, Asher. The kingdom faces new diplomatic choices. Interventionism encourages active military involvement, while appeasement aims to strengthen ties with Wayland and Rumberg's monarchy. Alternatively, you could choose the third way, forming a regional alliance with Dardia, Pales, Morella to avoid major powers. We're third way posting. And we will go no budget for the military. Choosing not to focus on a specific military branch could free up resources for other areas. This approach would provide more financial flexibility, allowing for a diverse and sound management of national priorities. The angelic-sounding voices of a boys' choir echoed through the great halls of Palaz Resna. To most Rizians, this was the grandest room and the grandest building in the entire country. To me, it was just home. I remembered wandering between the mosaic-tiled columns as a bored teenager, goofing off with Pabel in the upper gallery as my father met with foreign dignitaries, and of course, this was where I had married Lena. I sat upright in the Scylla Orica, the gold-plated wooden throne on which all monarchs of Rizia were coronated. The hall before me was filled with nobles, politicians, business magnates, even movie stars. A television crew moved up and down the aisles, broadcasting the ceremony to the Rizian public for the first time. My mother was sitting in the front row next to Uncle Hugo. Tradition dictated that in the absence of a king or queen consort, the seat next to me would be filled with my successor to the throne. Vina plucked at a stray thread in her gown. How you feeling, father? Ready for the next chapter. My daughter smiled. Me too. I wish Mother was the one sitting here, though. The final notes of the coronation hymn, "By His Sword I Live," rang out, and expectant silence filled the hall. It was broken by the sound of shuffling footsteps. The cameras followed Grand Wiseman Sal Ignatius as he walked slowly down the central aisle, bearing a velvet cushion. He presented it in front of me. On it was the Taurus crown, a black onyx orb, and a scroll containing the words to the royal oath. Recite the oath. I took the scroll off the cushion and read aloud from it. I hereby pledge myself in service to the great nation of Rizia and its people. I promise to guide my country with a steadfast hand, to uphold the laws of this land under Saint Ruik's watchful eye, to wield the sword of justice and the shield of mercy in equal measure. All this I shall do until the day I die. Take the orb. I lifted the orb off the cushion and ran my finger across its smooth surface. It was inlaid with a trio of diamonds representing the three royal houses of Rizia: Taurus, Azaro, Suzerain. Look at the crown. I gazed at the Taurus crown, forged when my family took the throne almost 150 years ago. It was made of pure gold, adorned with two twisting spires resembling bull's horns. Look at Estella. I caught my mother's eye. She gave me a conspiratorial wink. She gave me a conspiratorial twink, actually. That's exactly what she gave me. May Saint Ruik fill you with his Holy Spirit on this day, as he did your ancestors before you. With trembling hands, Grand Wiseman Ignatius lifted the crown off the cushion. I could spot a gray hair still clinging to its inner rim, my father's. May you keep the promises you have made before God and your people. The crown came down on my head. Its heaviness surprised me. By the divine power vested in me, I proclaim you sovereign king of Rizia. Arise, King Ramus. Stand up. I stood. The chair broke. The choir broke into On Shores of Gold, the Rizian national anthem. According to royal tradition, this was my signal to march down the aisle and up to the palace balcony to greet the public. Proceed with the coronation. Don't do the speech. I decided to proceed without making a speech. Everyone in the crowd bowed their heads as Vina and I made our way down the aisle. I passed my cousin Rico in the second row. He looked up at me and smiled. As we kept walking, I recognized various other members of Rizia's three royal houses as well as monarchs from distant kingdoms. Hello, Amethyst. What doing? Good question. The entire back row was reserved for the Rumbergian royal family and their entourage. I could feel my sister-in-law Beatrice's eyes on me. We reached the end of the hall where a spiral staircase led to the palace balcony. Come, Vina, let's go greet your future subjects. My daughter beamed and put her arm through mine. We walked up and up the stairs until we came to a door. I stepped out on the balcony. The sunlight was so dazzling, I was almost blinded. When my eyes adjusted, I regarded the scene below me. Thousands and thousands of people were packed onto the palace grounds, some waving the Rizian flag, others the House Taurus banner. Just beyond them, at the gates, the police easily held back a small pocket of protesters. I paid little attention to them. I was focused on the noise of the crowd, an overwhelming roar that gradually cohered into a single chant. Salutamus Axoregu Novus. All hail the new king. Indeed. And then we had to accept the loan from rusticals. If I'm at one budget before the turn ends, meaning that you want to pass this turn's decrees before you get to the event where you have to finance parades for the nation. Keep this in mind because if you pass every decree, you won't have enough money to get through the events like investing in soccer. So we have to get down to one budget before the turn ends. Expansion of Crown Administration. Monqui. Hubertus Taurus appointed acting Duke of Valenquire. Quire. With the governing seat of Monqui open after our ascension to the throne, it was decided that cousin Hubertus, the closest Taurus relative living in the province, would assume the position until if and when Princess Vina is appointed Duchess. In a private message, he sent his assurances that he and his family would remain servants to the king. What's the game name? Suzerain. Hello, Glitch Trap. Hello, your boy Foozy. Hello, DG. Oh. Supreme Wiseman Asmal sends congratulations from Derdia. Derdian leader Jorga Asmal has sent us a message of congrats following our coronation, as well as his assurance that God is with us despite our differing interpretations of the Ruchis religion. He invites us to join him for a friendly conversation in the capital of Nail at our leisure. Where is the capital of Derdia? Is it... Yeah, it must be beneath the coin of Nail, right there in the middle of Derdia. Yeah. Queen Beatrice and Grace sent formal congrats. Upon returning home from the coronation ceremony, Queen Beatrice Livingston sent an official message of congratulations on behalf of both Rumburg and Grace. The Guild of Royal Allies for Commercial Exchange. She welcomed us to the ranks of the world's remaining monarchs and attached a personal note expressing her sorrow that her sister did not live to see the coronation. Morella has something to say. Cavete. Hello, S4, what's up? Morellan Prime Minister Alma Sultania sends congratulations gift. The newly elected Prime Minister Morella reached out to us after our coronation, sending her best wishes and desire to work more closely together, especially on matters regarding the Miftian International Trade Zone. Montecaler. Coronation honored at Camp Domus. To mark our coronation, Acting War and Security Council Duchess Lucita Azaro, together with the head of the armed forces Carlos Robles Azaro, led the military forces in Camp Domus and special exercises. Most other high-ranking members of House Azaro were present at the festivities, with the exception of General Tadeus, who remains in hospital after suffering a stroke. Couldn't be me. I would simply not have a small Rizian fleet. Yeah, that's because they rebelled, brother. Half-full military stockpile, average military manpool power, paratrooper brigade, small marine divisions, large mountaineering corps, regional tourist destination, horrible workers' rights, Su Omnia allied to the crown. Indeed. Saison send formal congratulations. The Saison nobility has issued their formal congratulations on our coronation. Family members hosted an outdoor screening at the ceremony at Arena Salabes, attended by citizens from across the province of Brennus. Halt result. I don't have my decrees yet, so I'll have to... Rufus Gragg's Royal Gossip Coronation Fashion Edition. King Roma's crowned and grand ceremony. Rizian coronation raises question, who is Ramos Taurus? UC conducts latest Gen ICBM test successfully. United Contania successfully conducted its 12th intercontinental ballistic missile test at the Polaris testing site at precisely 04 at 4:17 a.m. on December 14th, 1950. Fired from a southwestern island off the Contanian continent, the missile traveled over 8,000 kilometers to its target in northern Polaris, achieving a precision margin of error of 600 meters, according to the Contanian Military Research Council. Arcasian Air Force radar assets near Polaris detected the missile's trajectory and confirmed the test's occurrence, but declined to comment further. Dr. Alaric Ravo, a strategist with Cerberus International's Kairoute office, remarked that Polaris' vast, uninhabited expanse offers ideal conditions for such experiments while avoiding risks to populated areas. He added that the test demonstrates Contania's growing dominance in international missile technology. Very good. Very good indeed. Fruit ball? Agreed, Amethyst. Agreed. So I have to do all these before what? Pastist turns to decrease before you get to the event where you have to finance parades for the nation. Okay, so this one's probably fine. The morning after my coronation, I was woken up by a knock at the door. It took me a few seconds to remember where I was. The royal bedroom on the top floor of the residential wing of Palace Resna made the one in the tourist palace in Monquis look shabby. Ornate gold trim covered the walls. I was alone in bed that could have easily slept 4. The knocking on the door continued. Yes? The door swung open. Pable walked in, beaming. After I'd left to join the military, my friend had worked his way up to chief butler. It's hard to believe he was now head of my royal household. Rise and shine, Your Majesty. Intermercopum. Intermercopum, folks. It's good to see you, Pable. You too. He drew back the heavy velvet curtains, sunshine flooded in the room. Ramus Taurus, King of Rizia. You've come a long way since we were kids. So have you, Mr. Chief Butler. Not bad for a groundskeeper's son. Of course, it helped to have friends in high places. He looked me in the eyes. Forgive me if I'm overstepping, but how are you doing? I know you and your father didn't get along by the end, but it's never easy to lose a parent. Thank you for your concern. Anything I can do to make your life easier, I'm here. He opened the doors of my armoire and began pulling items of clothing. You have quite the packed schedule this morning. Why don't you eat breakfast with the girls while I get your outfit ready? That sounds great. Queen Mother Estella and Princess Vina must be waiting already. You should get a move on. Don't worry, Your Majesty. I'll make sure you're the best-dressed king in Rizian history. Expect nothing less. We're still friends, right? Always. Bima volu, on oxit selu. I recognize the slogan we made up as kids. 2 tides rise, 1 sun sets. Thanks, Pable. Let's catch up later. Enjoy your breakfast. Still in my dressing gown, I headed downstairs. Goingle, 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 goingle. Goingle, 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 goingle. In the eastern dining room, an enormous breakfast spread had been laid out. My mother was already sitting at the table, digging a spoon into a single grapefruit. Pre-made character, very bald posting. We are, Graham. We are bald posting right now. What's the game name? This is Suzerain, Amethyst, for the 2nd time now. Why is my eye twitching? It happens sometimes. I wouldn't really bother about it. Something happened to my eye? It's okay. Nobody's dying. I have to mute my phone. That was loud. Moonshine. Good morning, Mother. Same to you, darling. Despite the early hour, my mother was already in her full makeup. She dabbed at her lips with a napkin. I hope you're satisfied with yesterday's coronation. Your father wasn't nearly as well attended. What can I say? My people love me. My people love me. They love to be seen on television. You, they're not so sure about. Her eyes grew serious. Peak game? Yeah. What did he say to you before he died, by the way? I never asked. He told me to take back the lands that were lost. Zill and Pales, I suppose. He never did give up on that Grand Duchy. It's a pity he didn't live to preside over my homeland's big return to Rizia, but soon you will. I'm already planning the reunification ceremony. I'll find a suitably scandalizing dress to wear to it. Don't let my nattering keep you from eating. A king needs energy. She handed me a rosetta, the traditional rice and quince custard tart. The crust was exceptionally flaky. Just then Vina came bounding down the stairs. Isn't it a lovely morning? My daughter kissed Mother on the cheek, then gave me a shy wave. Nearly got lost on my way here, Grandma. Why didn't you tell me this place had such a big library? Because I didn't want you holed up in there all night. A grandmother's got to see her granddaughter every so often, you know. Vina eagerly took a plate and started piling it high with pastries. My mother clicked her tongue disapprovingly. Not too many of those. The sweeter the taste, the wider the waist. Don't you agree, Rhomus? It's a special occasion. Our diet can start tomorrow. Vina took a bite of Rosetta and gave me an exaggerated sigh of pleasure. My mother rolled her eyes. Suit yourself. Now, if anyone in this place thinks this place could make a halfway decent strudel, that would be worth ruining one's figure for. We ate for a while in silence. Vina looked lost in thought. Finally, she spoke up. Father, I wanted to ask you something. You know that I'm 18 now? He required the energy to riz. True. Yes, it's time you started taking on more responsibilities. Exactly. I was thinking I'm old enough to accompany you to the council meetings. It's unusual for a female heir to join the council, I know, but didn't you do the same when you were my age? Well, 18 is old enough to get involved in royal politics. And Liza the Great is a huge legacy for me to live up to. You shouldn't have to worry about living up to anyone's legacy. You're great in your own right. That's very kind of you, Father, but Liza was the most beloved queen in our history. Of course people will compare me to her. You're getting ahead of yourself, sweetheart. The crown is on your father's head right now, not yours. She looked at me sharply. And what your father needs is for your lovely little face to be seen at balls and ribbon-cutting ceremonies, not hidden behind council doors. We know Vina is much more than a pretty face. I do recognize my duty to represent Rizia in public, but I need to learn how to govern the country, not just represent it. You want to spend the best years of your life cooped up in that den of snakes? The council isn't some wise, all-knowing entity. Everyone on it is only looking after their own house and their own stature. And God help you if you get in the way of either of those. Counselors represent many cumulative decades of experience, but not discount their wisdom. My father may have allowed his council to run roughshod over him. I will not make that mistake. If navigating the council's self-interest will be part of my future duties, I need to learn how to do that too. I promise, it'll be like I'm not even there, and I'll step out in public as much as I can. Vina looked at me with pleading eyes. Alright, Vina, you can come to the meetings. My daughter's face lit up. Thank you, I can't wait to start. I better start refreshing myself on Rizian law. She pushed her plate away and dashed back upstairs. Once she was gone, my mother lit a cigarette. You do realize that she'll be nothing but a liability to you in that room. She's heir apparent. It'll be good education for you. One more Taurus on the council is an asset, not a liability. I hope you're right. The clock struck 9:15. My first council meeting was starting soon. I excused myself from the table. As I was leaving the dining room, my mother cleared her throat. He always believed you'd make a good king, you know. even if you didn't always show it. Thanks for saying that. I headed back upstairs to fetch Vina. It was almost time to go. Who's in the new coronation party at Isa Palace? Mired by hooliganism. Oh, 1950 to be an exceptional wine year. The Contuavo family vineyard at Calais has begun bottling its latest batch of Cavil, the first to follow last year's record harvest. They've named it Ramos the Red, and claim 1950 will go down in history as an exceptional year for Rizian wine. Indeed. Baron and Baroness of Valenquia reaffirmed loyalty after absence. Security forces were dispatched to the estate lord and Lady Julio and Octavia Torres following their conspicuous absence from our coronation. In the past, the couple was suspected of spreading false rumors, discrediting King Valero's claim to the throne. However, they testified that their absence was due to a bout of food poisoning from improperly prepared shellfish, and enthusiastically reaffirmed their fealty to King Ramos and his family. Vina Torres is now on my council. House of Delegates holds first allegiance ceremony. For the occasion of the first Rizian coronation since the founding of the House of Delegates, Majority Leader Daria de Rava called a special session where members took an oath of allegiance to the crown. Each parliamentarian was asked to stand and affirm his or her commitment to serve under King Ramos's reign with dedication and integrity. Goinkle, goinkle, goinkle. Full parades for countrywide celebration. This gives authority and popularity. Full parade. Parade, banquets, and ball in all cities. Ding! Goinkle, goinkle, goinkle. Arcasian armed forces advance in Salzina. Following its costly campaign in West Xena, Arcasia has intensified its military operations in South Xena, aiming to dismantle millennialist-leaning regimes and promote democratic governance. This move comes as Arcasian forces growing resistance from the Narashima and Zelina, where CSP influence is on the rise. The conflict has escalated, with Arcasian armed forces engaging in fierce battles against well-entrenched local forces. Back home, the Arcasian public grows increasingly concerned about the soaring military expenditures and the slow pace of resource extraction causing price fluctuations. You'll love to see it. Political overview at the Grand Vizier, King's Dining Hall Palace, Rezna. Palais Rezna. Le Palais. The stairway to the royal council chambers was longer than I remembered. I took a moment to catch my breath in front of the carved oak doors. Hurry up, father. It's not very kingly of you to be late. Just give me a second. A true king is never late. It's the others who are early. After collecting my thoughts, I pushed open the doors and walked in. I'd only been here once or twice. I gazed up at a high domed ceiling with its skylight that shone down into the center of the room. Below it, a tall black red velvet chair towered over an oval mahogany table. To my white surprise, the room was empty except for one man, my uncle. Glinkle. When Hugo saw me, he sprang to his feet. Welcome, your majesty. Good morning, your grace. Hugo recognized the formality of my greeting and bowed slightly. You'll meet everyone else soon enough, but I thought private chat with your Grand Vizier would be in order first. His eyes traveled to the doorway where Vina was still standing. Although it seems it won't be as private as I was expecting. Are you staying, Princess Vina? My daughter gave a shy nod. Yes, Uncle Hugo, I'm sitting in on the King's Council meetings. She's going to learn by experience. I wish I had done the same. Hugo frowned as he processed this new information, then broke into a smile. By all means, then, Your Highness. Have a seat. Vina walked over to the table as I made my way to the red velvet chair. Once we were all seated, I turned to my uncle. How have you been? Busy. Managing the royal transition is a full-time job in itself. Hello, Gremlin. Between that and the visits to Rico and Isa, I haven't had a day off since the funeral. As I listened to him, my eyes drifted towards the back wall. It was covered in portraits of Rizia's previous kings, including a newly painted likeness of my father. My dear brother, I do miss him, but I dare say it's time we had some fresh blood on the throne. As Valero never got a chance to fill you in on his royal duties before he passed, I prepared an overview for you. Would you like to hear it? Please. As the king, you're both Rizia's head of state and commander of its armed forces, as well as the de jure governor of the Rizia Imperii, Valenquirus, the Pales Administrative District, and the island of Calcapes. Like your father and grandmother before you, you alone have the power to shape this country by passing royal decree. As is tradition over hundreds of years, each new ruler has passed the sovereign transition and clemency decree to start their reign. The kingdom will be expecting your decree very soon. Thanks for your advice, Uncle. I'm coming to have your wisdom and experience guiding me at the start of my reign. Your humility is appreciated, but remember, being king is about making hard decisions, not just following advice. Hello, Diviny. Hugo reached for a neatly rolled parchment laying on the ground table. With deliberate movements, he unrolled it, revealing the prepared royal decree. The intricate script and the seal of Rizia glinted under the chandelier's light. I and the rest of the Royal Council will advise you to the best of our ability and put forth decrees and state decisions for your approval. Ultimately, the king has the final say. We should kill this fucking king, dude. Who's this fucking king I keep hearing about? Kill his ass, man. Kill his ass. Clavo and Cialabes. Cialabes for tourism. However, you should not neglect the House of Delegates, the legislative assembly my brother set up to appease the opposition after the uprising. What about it? It still works the way we intended. Rizia has the appearance of a constitutional democracy, while power remains firmly in the hands of the king. His Majesty Valero presided over the last elections in 1949. The Rizian National Coalition secured a House majority, as always. They propose decrees and issue official approvals or disapprovals of the laws passed by you and the Council. As Grand Vizier, it's tradition for me to attend their sessions and pass any relevant information on to you. Thanks for that, Your Grace. I will be counting on you. Of course, Your Majesty. With that said, I would advise you take the delegates' input into account. No good can come from ignoring the will of the people. Thank you for letting me know. Be sure to listen to them going forward. I'm here to serve, Your Majesty. Fortunately, the delegate speaker, Daria Darava, is a Taurus loyalist through and through. She should give you no trouble. The opposition is small, but worth keeping an eye on, especially the new leader, Manus Suzerain. Hugo scanned my face closely as he spoke the name. The opposition elected a Suzerain. Not just any Suzerain. As you know, Duke Lucas Suzerain was executed for his role in your kidnapping in the 1926 uprising, while his wife Angelica was sent into exile on Calcapes. While she remains under strict orders not to leave the island, no such restrictions were placed on this son she gave birth to shortly after her arrival. He opened a folder and took out a picture of a clean-cut young man. Vina leaned forward to peer at it. Upon finishing his studies in Kairut, Manus returned to the mainland and proceeded to win the largest supporter base of any opposition leader we've seen thus far. His promises to give a voice to the common man seemed to be resonating with the populace. Part of it, at least. You're right to be wary of him. We've got to keep him in our sights. We will. Hugo closed the folder. While I'm on a subject, a word about our houses. No need to continue. I'm up to speed on the houses. House Taurus. Our family currently controls the province of Valenquirus as well as the city-state of Isa. How's Valenquirus doing now that I've left? Stable, as always. With you on the throne, me as Grand Vizier, and Rico and Isa. The governing seat has been filled by our distant cousin Hubertus. You recalled him, I'm sure. Of course, Princess Vina is eligible to take his place as the reigning Duchess once she is deemed fit. He nodded at my daughter. In a few years, maybe. I still don't feel ready. You're already smarter than I was when I became Duke, but it's your decision. Vina blushed. Thank you, Father. Hugo tapped his finger on the table. In any case, Your Majesty, I don't expect any trouble in Valenquir during your reign. It remains the wealthiest of Rizia's provinces and the least affected by crime. Hello. Hello, Rollskin. Make sure their lives don't get any less comfortable and the local nobility will stay loyal to you. Would I make an entire country on top of another city? An entire country on top of a city? Most cities are already on top of the old version of that city, aren't they? What's really going on in Iza? Has Rico been well received as Duke? Hugo's face hardened. Iza has become difficult since the Suzerain rebellion, even more so since the Weshik population there exploded. Any effort to restore the rights and privileges of native Rizians is met with resistance. The students of Iza University are leading the charge, I believe. Considering the circumstances, I believe my son is doing just fine. Is Suomnia still based there? They are. In fact, the group took to the streets in celebration of your coronation. What about the Rizia Imperii? We control that too, don't we? Okay, excuse me. Yes, Port Drazon and its metropolitan area are controlled by the central government and therefore House Taurus. You don't need to worry about pleasing our houses in the region, though. It's more crucial to retain the favor of the major corporations that are based there. Understood. If our economy takes a hit, another uprising won't be far behind. Precisely. The Pales Administrative District is also under the jurisdiction of the Rizia Imperii, since we won it back at the Reclamation War. Got it. Hugo nodded approvingly. As for the other houses, tell me about Suzerain. Aside from Iza, which is now under Rico's governance, all of Brennus is still their territory. The nobles there swore fealty to the crown in exchange for keeping a hold on their cities and their estates. But the return of Angelica's boy could test that loyalty. He is their rightful duke, after all, even if he does not admit it. My father was too soft on the Suzerains. I'll keep them in line. At the moment, they're the weakest of the three houses. You'd do well to ensure they stay that way. As for Angelica herself, she remains in exile as she should. If Angelica is in exile and Manus has not laid claim to the Duke's position, who's officially in charge of Brennus now? What game am I playing? This is Suzerain. Hugo checked his notes. A lesser relation by the name of Leona. She reigns from Celebes. But it is Manus and Angelica that the rest of the Suzerains take their cues from. Lest we forget, Wayland is scheduled to return Zeal to Rizia next year. The Suzerains expect the region to become part of their province as it was before the uprising. The power balance between the houses is fragile enough. Adding so much land to Brennus would upset it beyond repair. As king, you would have the authority to make Zeal part of the central government, making it similar to Rizia Imperii, an option to keep in mind. And finally, House Azaro. Ah yes, the rulers of the Cardes Monteclar and the stewards of the Rizian military. You must be aware of their patriarch Tadeus' poor health. The general suffered a stroke just prior to King Valero's death. Yes, I was saddened to hear. He taught me everything I know. May God bless him with full recovery. Indeed. His daughter Lucita, the Duchess of Monteclar, was selected to take his place as war and security counselor. You'll meet her later today. You should also know that factions within her province have begun calling for the return of Pales again. Why? Cardes Monteclar is large and powerful enough. No matter your feelings on the subject, I'd advise you to take the house's concerns seriously. Hugo glanced at the clock. Well, I hope that was helpful. I think we're almost done here, unless there's anything else you'd like to bring up. Your Grace, I feel the situation as you just described it leaves me with limited power over my own kingdom. Wish to reign unchallenged by the House of Delegates or any of the noble families. Vina's eyes widened in shock. Hugo appeared unfazed. You've hit upon an interesting point, Ramus. I myself have often wondered whether Rizia would be stronger were it wholly united under the banner of House Taurus. Ultimately, though, the crown enjoys high support among both the delegates and the noble houses. I fear any attempt to defang them will lead to more strife than it is worth. But I fear that Rizia is straying from its Ruchus roots. Only I can restore religious harmony to the kingdom. I see. In that case, I'm sure the religious community will support you, but Grand Wiseman Ignatius can advise you better than I can on this matter. He was pensive for a moment, then his expression brightened. Can you give me a shout-out? Sure. Would you be a Rizian? God, no. One more thing. As you're aware, a few years before your father's death, he reinstated the Golden Guard. Right, the royal family's personal security force, and where are they now? Here, sir, ready and able. For the first time, I noticed the man standing in the corner of the room. He was wearing a tight-fitting gold blazer that barely concealed his muscular physique. Meet Titus Gordian, captain of the Golden Guard. He and his men have been keeping a close watch on you since the coronation. I'm pleased to meet you, Captain Gordian. Call me Titus, sir. Titus and the members of his 2,000-strong brigade have been trained in the upper echelons of Rizia's military and police academies. Each has sworn an oath to protect the king and his family at all costs. Great. Looking forward to working with them. It's an honor, Your Majesty. He bowed to Vina. She looked a little flustered. But didn't Queen Liza discontinue the Golden Guard because she thought they made royals look elitists and because... She trailed off. Because she thought they were getting too powerful. That's why our current force is less than a fifth of what the size it once was. Your father always had a fondness for Rizian tradition, so he spared no expense in bringing the Guard back, albeit in a reduced form. And by moving from feudalism, we are in a modern era, and I'm just going to be a theocracy. That was the plan for this run. What's the point of the game? It's fun to read. I know some of you guys might not agree with that, but it humbles me to be worthy of such an elite unit's protection. The humility is all mine, sir. Thank you, Titus. You may wait outside the chamber until the meeting's conclusion. Titus nodded and swiftly left the room. Noon already. Shall we and the young heiress break for the glass of wine before the council convenes this afternoon? I don't drink, Hugo. Another time, Your Grace. I look forward to it. Thank you for your offer anyway, Uncle Hugo. My pleasure. He turned to look Vina in the eye. I know how overwhelming the move to the capital can be, Your Highness. If you ever need someone to talk to, remember you can always come to me. Vina smiled politely. That's very kind of you, Uncle Hugo. No offer of advice for me? I wouldn't presume to know better than you, Your Majesty. But of course, you can always come to me with questions as well. Vina finished jotting down a few notes. The three of us packed up and left for the morning. Ah, the decree. We may now make the decree. Introductory briefing from Lee. We have to be careful here, so I'm just going to invest really slowly. So, because I have to make like 3 full investments. RRG CEO speaks out against proposed mining regulation. In a press conference given at the Rizian Royal Gold headquarters in Port Jerzon, CEO Russelo Montaro spoke out against the mining safety regulations proposed by the recently elected Morellan PM Alma Sultana. Right. The regulations would affect the Miftium ITZ, the resource-rich region in which Rizia, Morella, Vogsland, and Lesbia currently all own rights. Listen, I have nothing but respect for Madam Prime Minister over there, Mr. Montaro, who prefers the name Rusty, told reporters. But she's gotten too big for her britches if she thinks she can tell our hardworking miners how to do their jobs. If our new king wants to earn his crown, he'll put her in her place. Whoa. Chill. Havas. Coal deposits suspected in Havas. Geologists in Havas have notified us about the potential presence of a significant coal deposit, sparking interest for further exploitation. To ascertain the extent and economic viability of these resources, comprehensive seismic and subsurface surveys must be commissioned. Topes. Unveiling the legacy of the Resonant Empire. In a groundbreaking development that has captured the Kingdom of Rizia's imagination, archaeologists in the esteemed city of Topes have unearthed remains of what appears to be a major city from the long-lost Resonant Empire. The extensive layout, marked by grandiose architecture and elaborate frescoes, suggests a significant center of commerce, governance, and culture, reflective of a bygone golden era of prosperity. Is the game free? It is not. Nelvisar oil field on verge of depletion. Oh, Zan. Industry reports reveal that Nelvisar oil field, once among Rizia's most prolific sites, is nearing the end of its productive life. With experts predicting significant output decline within the next year, the imminent depletion has prompted calls for increased investment in alternative energy sources and reevaluation of Rizia's long-term energy strategy. Alright, let's punch a couple decrees. Expansion of the Crown Administration. Just kidding. Bronze Energy Storage Facility. Welfare privatization goes crazy. We can't do any of those yet, so... I guess Salabas and Plava will be funded here in a hot second. But before all that... I would like to take a quick break. Listen to this funny music. Beep burp beep burp beep beep burp beep burp beep 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 burp burp beep 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 burp beep burp beep burp beep burp beep burp burp beep 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 burp burp beep 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 burp 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 beep 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 burp burp beep 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 burp burp beep burp burp beep burp burp beep beep burp burp. The Saint Brune? That's chill. BRB. That's such a scary song, dude. That's such a scary song. Alright, let me get back up on the screen. Me and you. There we are. What inspired me to do YouTube? I wanted a really easy job. Oh dear. It was late afternoon when Veen and I headed back to the chambers for the first council meeting. The day was sweltering, and the morning meeting had left me drained. I was glad I'd turned down Hugo's offer of wine. As we made our way through the palace gardens, an unsettling sense of being watched crept over me. Hello, Katie. Then, suddenly, I caught a sight of a young man standing by the path. His face matched the photograph Hugo had shown me that morning. Duke Suzerain, I presume. He smiled nervously. I hold no land, Your Majesty, but you may use that title if you wish. It's brave of you to approach me. It's good to see you here in Port Trazon. He tugged at his suit lapel. I wanted to introduce myself before our first official meeting. I may be the leader of the opposition, but I'm not your enemy. If you and I establish a dialogue, I believe we can work wonders for this country. Vina gave him an encouraging smile. How lovely of you to say that. I'm Vina Taurus, by the way. He resisted the urge to laugh. I know. A pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm not uninterested in your proposal, but you'll have to request a formal audience with me like everybody else. I understand. Looking forward to it, Your Majesty. Your Highness. Vina waved as he walked away. He seems nice. He's friendlier than I expected. I could imagine working together. We continued toward the council chambers. Oddly enough, I still felt like someone had their eyes on us. I looked back for just long enough to see a flash of gold. Titus, of course. We entered the chambers where Hugo was already waiting for us. No sooner than he had sat down than a brief rap came at the door. Without waiting for an answer, Lucita Azaro rushed in. The new War and Security Counselor was younger than I had imagined. She carried herself with a mix of regal elegance and soldierly authority. Oh no. Gentlemen, pardon my interruption. She bowed towards me. Please accept House Azora's formal congratulations on your coronation, Your Majesty. I motioned for her to stand, her eyes fixated on my uncle's shirt as she raised herself. Hugo, Your Grace, your shirt's buttoned wrong. My uncle looked chastised. Hello, Princess Vina. Your Majesty, may I ask what your daughter is doing here? She's here to receive tutelage from the best minds this kingdom has to offer, yours included. I'm flattered. She gave Vina a broad smile. Please don't mind me, Duchess Azaro, I'm only here as an observer. Lucita's eyes darted to the door. The king and his direct successor spending so much time in the same room. Hope the Golden Guard knows what's at stake in keeping these chambers secure. My father always spoke highly of you, Your Majesty. I wish he was the one greeting you today. He sends his regards, or he would if he were capable of speaking in full sentences. She was trying to be flippant, but I could sense emotion behind her words. I know the general, he's got some fight left in him yet. Lucita smiled with pride. The others should be right behind me. As if on cue, I heard the voices of Elna Werner and Lorento Esquibel, my treasurer and counselor of foreign affairs. For Dast's sake, Lorento, you don't need to hold the door open for me every single time, not as fragile as I look. I keep telling you, how could I allow a door to close on such a gorgeous face? As the two senior counselors stepped in, they immediately dropped the flirtatious routine and assumed a look of deference. Lorento smoothly removed his fedora, revealing a well-oiled mane of gray hair. Your Majesty, it's a pleasure and an honor to serve on your council. Elna nodded briskly. Despite her grandmotherly appearance, her demeanor was all business. Your reputation precedes you, Your Majesty. I've heard marvelous things about the work you did in Valenquiris. Thank you, Miss Werner and Mr. Esquibel. I look forward to working with you. And work we will. We have so much ahead of us. Elna looked fondly at Vina. Pleased to see the young heiress is here as well. A new Liza the Great in the making. Vina blushed. Wouldn't go that far, but I do hope you'll tell me about your time in Queen Liza's court one day. I'd love to. There are just a few updates I've got to share with your father first. Once all the counselors were seated, Hugo began. Thank you all for joining us. I'm pleased to have the entire council here for the first meeting. Well, not the entire council. The Grand Wiseman is in Plavo, preparing for the upcoming religious ceremony with His Majesty. But he needn't involve himself in earthly concerns like our royal treasury. He smiled to himself and gestured to Elna. No, indeed, that's for me to worry about. She put on a pair of half-moon glasses, then reached down into her purse, pulled out a thick leather-bound ledger, and flipped it open. Surely His Majesty already has some awareness regarding the state of Rizia's economy and resources. We've got gold, we've got energy, what else do I need to know? It's slightly more complicated than that, Your Majesty. She smoothly adjusted her reading glasses before continuing. Until the 40s, Rizia was historically one of the wealthiest countries in South Mercopa, but His Majesty and the late King Valero bequeathed us a number of challenges in that department. Yikes. Where should I start? Tell me about our government budget. It's healthy, Your Majesty. Since we began trading with Rumberg, we've been running a surplus. Thanks to your own wise financial decisions over the past few years, that surplus is fairly high, but of course, there's always room for improvement. All glory to the late Valero, but he had a certain prudence about spending government funds, even when it might have made Rizia richer today. Now, new gold mines are scarce, our richest sources. nearly depleted, and the kingdom's burdens have grown over the past decade. No need to sugarcoat it, he was a miser. Yeah, no, he had his reasons, I'm sure, but he did miss a number of potentially lucrative investment opportunities, including, of course, the opportunity to completely modernize the Rizian military. Elna pursed her lips. With all due respect, Duchess Azara, I'm not sure the military is the king's #1 focus. Why wouldn't it be, Miss Warner? Rizia continues to have many enemies, both foreign and internal. The last time Rizia had a strong military, its members mutinied against us. That was many years ago, Your Majesty, and the responsible parties have all been punished. I do agree that there are better uses for those funds. Think of the advances we were able to make during the Liza era due to the Queen's investment in citizens' welfare. What are the album reaction streams? You'll recall her famous quote, "I don't like music. True prosperity is not defined by the amount of gold in our coffers, but by the health and happiness of each soul within our borders." Truer words have never been spoken. Vina beamed, Hugo nodded in agreement. I will point out that Rizia's wealth and my mother's judicious handling of it was one of the factors that allowed us to survive the century of revolutions. However, those were different times. As a modern nation in an era of increasing superpower influence, we are expected to have certain standard of military. You're right, Hugo. I'll take Duchess Azara's suggestion seriously. I'm honored, Your Majesty. Your enthusiasm is heartening, Duchess Azara. I'm sure you'll have much more advice in sharing your own briefing. Any further questions, Your Majesty? How's the gold industry hanging? Fuck. Suggestions so bad, I hate you? No. She smiled fondly. I believe you know the answer, Your Majesty. Your past efforts have certainly helped bolster our reserves. However, the amount of gold in the ground is finite, and extraction has plateaued. We have a number of active mines within the country, operated by the Rizian Royal Gold Corporation. She and Hugo exchanged glances. And unfortunately, we cannot talk about Rizian Royal Gold without talking about its CEO. Why, unfortunately, Your Grace? Your uncle never could countenance the presence of Russello Montaro, but we can't mine gold in this country without him. Mr. Montaro, Rusty, currently owns 70% of the Rizian Royal Gold. I still can't believe he was allowed to gain such a large majority. Nor can I, Your Majesty. He looked at Elna. Rusty's first move after taking over the company was to sue your father's government for loss of revenue connected to the Zeal handover. After a very lengthy back and forth, it was agreed that the kingdom's share in RRG is decreased from 45 to 30. Rizia should not own 30% of RRG or even 45. The entire company should be nationalized. It's not that simple. The patent for RRG's proprietary mining technology was filed in Ventry City, Arcasia, and most of its financial assets are kept in Kairut. In other words, attempting to nationalize the company without Mr. Montaro's express approval would strip it of its value. She adjusted her glasses before continuing. While RRG controls mining within Rizia, the royal government is a direct stakeholder in the Miftian International Trade Zone. Oh shit. She unrolled a map on the table and pointed to a region in the east of Morella. The double blow of losing our mines in Zeal and 15% of an RRG stake has made us quite reliant on the gold from the Mids. Lorento stroked his mustache. It was established shortly before you joined the Royal Council, was it not, Elna? I heard the negotiations between Rizia, Volgsland, Lesbia, and Morel took over a year. How much does the government have over operations in Mids? A fair amount. Any changes to regulation? Or profit shares. There we go. Had to be agreed on by all 4 nations involved. RRG gets a percentage of the MIT's profits for the use of its technology, but we can make decisions without Mr. Montaro's input. Can't we increase our mining efforts within Rizia to make up for the loss? We could try. There are a number of promising sites that have yet to be explored. We would just need to commission a survey to find them, keeping in mind that any mining site near noble-owned estates might lead to a devaluation of those properties. Saw Hugo wince at that remark. When we get Zeal back, will we get its gold back as well? Certainly hope so. Wayland has been mining extensively in the region since taking over in 27. But as for the terms of the agreement, Zeal and all the resources therein will return to Rizian ownership in 52. And at the time of our last survey, there was much more than 30 years worth of gold in the ground there. That's it for our discussion of gold. Shall we move on? How about energy holdings? Elnor rubbed her hands together. Very gladly, Your Majesty. This is a new era for us compared to gold, but financial possibilities are intriguing indeed. She pointed at the map in front of her, this time directing our attention to the southern coast of Velenquiris. Though our state energy company is called Rizian Oil and Gas, production of the former has slowed over the years and is threatening to come to a complete halt. The latter, however, shows immense potential. Our most productive gas field is Asquiris, off the coast of Topes. Assuming enough money is invested into its expansion, we can expect it to fuel our kingdom for years to come. Or we can spend our budget elsewhere as we wait for access to the new field south of Calicobes. Careful, Miss Warner. One shouldn't count one's pheasants before they've been bagged. The south of Calicobes. Wouldn't that put the field close to Pales? Lorento gave me a significant look. Exactly, Your Majesty. Miss Warner, tell him. Well, we're still in the extremely early stages, but we may have at least part of a claim to a substantial reserve of natural gas between the port of Pales and the Rizian Isle of Calicobes. What are we waiting for? Let's go drilling. We don't want a gas dispute on our hands. Wise words, Your Majesty. Our researchers have been investigating the field's size and borders. Once they're known, it will be easy to determine ownership. Of course, we are liaising extremely closely with Pales to avoid misunderstandings. As we should. Nobody wants a repeat of the last conflict. If the Grand Duchy does not provoke us, we will not provoke them. Lucita nodded. As much as my family is clamoring for a repeat of the Pales campaign, I think it's best to ignore them. Of course, if Pale shows hostility towards us, we will react in kind, but Rizia should not be the first to resort to aggression. Vina attentively raised her hand. I don't know why we're even discussing a military response. We'll surely be able to reach a compromise using proper diplomacy. Time to grow up, my dear daughter. In real life, there's always a winner and a loser. Oh, but... Elna gently cut in. We should save this discussion for if and when we know more about the gas field in question. For now, are there any other questions? How much revenue comes from taxes? What's the point of pouring a cup of milk if you can just drink it from the jug? Agreed. Agreed, dude. Agreed. Historically, a resource-based economy has allowed us to have some of the lowest tax rates on the continent. It's been a real boon for businesses. The central government does collect a flat income tax of 10%. This is mostly paid by workers since nobles have no income to speak of. Could we introduce extra revenue by introducing estate or inheritance taxes? We definitely could, Your Majesty. I do happen to think that taxing wealthy nobles makes more sense than taxing the workers who generate said wealth. On the other hand, the current tax code was proposed by the House of Delegates and agreed on by her father. It might not be so easy to change. Nor should we. Taxing nobles would be an attack on the very backbone of Rizian society. Yes, our family's investments power half the businesses in this country. Why should we be forced to pay double? You have a point. I'm still not convinced, but I'll drop a sub. You have a point. We shouldn't de-incentivize families like yours from supporting Rizia's economy. Think of your own home, Your Majesty. Would the Rizian wine industry be where it is without our backing? In terms of our province's individual contributions, they pay less than 3% directly to the crown, which mostly goes towards administrative costs. The arrangement dates back to agreements made after the War of Rizian Succession. After 4 years of civil war, the crown granted broad fiscal autonomy to the provinces. Fair. It is the very structure of the realm, our code of agreements, one that has endured for centuries. The provinces remain the backbone of the kingdom. How are the provinces performing economically? There are key differences worth your attention. Let me walk you through them. Your home's province, Velenquiris, leads the realm in GDP, driven by its wine, gas, and tourism sectors. Brennus is still suffering the effects of the loss of Isa and Zeal, however it's made advances in shipping and agriculture alongside its gold mines. The manufacturing concerns in Cardes Monteclar are doing very well, to the point that business councils are complaining about an imminent shortage of skilled workers. A shortage of Rizian workers, Elna. Those vacancies could easily be filled with the migrants from Wayland and Dardia. That is a slippery slope, Mr. Esqueeble. Are you familiar with Rizia's two-tier employment system, Your Majesty? Well, please explain. After the Wayland Civil War, we began granting labor hand visas to Weshik migrants and a smaller number of Dardians. Labor hands may accept employment by Rizian industries, but they don't have the right to social security or other benefits. There is a cap on how much they are allowed to earn. They now make up most of our blue-collar workforce with higher-paid jobs held by native Rizians, as well as smaller numbers of lesbians, Voxlandians, and Rumburgians. The program did wonders for the economy when King Valera initiated it, but as a result we now have millions of workers in this country who are being treated like second-class citizens. Those visas were granted to temporary residents. They were supposed to go home at some point. That was the initial aim, but Rizia's current-day economy now relies on these workers. All the more reason why they deserve an upgrade in status. Rizia offered Weshik's asylum where other countries did not. There must be some limit to our generosity. I recall you once supported that stance as well, Your Majesty. From a purely pragmatic point of view, expanding foreign workers' rights does seem like a convenient solution to the shortage Elna mentioned. And from a security standpoint, allowing migrants to earn more money could curb this kind of would curb the kind of black market activities that have been taking place in cities like Iza. Do not fear the dilution of Rizian culture and values, Do you not fear the dilution of Rizian culture and values, Duchess Azaro, or the infiltration of Dasnurists and Golcondists into the richest society? She shrugged. Society's changed, Your Grace, and I don't recall these concerns being raised about the Rumburgians who moved here after our alliance. Rizia is a multicultural nation now, Hugo, whether we like it or not. We cannot let the events of the last 2 decades destroy what has taken 1,000 years to build. The people of this country will accept diversity up to a certain point, Your Majesty, but if they begin to feel their national identity is under threat, there will be consequences. Which, by the way, is why I wholeheartedly support the Rizian National Coalition's suggestion to impose a tax on non-Rushists, filling our coffers and rewarding the native Rizian faithful in one go. Hugo fixed Lucida with a defiant stare. Elna looked uneasily at the three of us. She tapped the pencil on the table. We seem to have veered off track. Can we get back to your question about the economy? That's all the information I need for now. Perfect, Your Majesty. Elna glanced down at her notes, her expression contemplative. I'd like to discuss several economic considerations. We should anticipate potential expenses arising from our impending fiscal problems. Please fucking elaborate. The first point to consider is industrial growth. I am all for expanding production and construction, but we should make sure we have the energy to keep our facilities humming. Secondly, there's the matter of living standards. Improving the quality of life for our citizens naturally leads to higher administrative expenditures. Thirdly, if you do decide to listen to Duchess Azaro and expand our defensive capabilities, keep in mind that the cost of upkeeping for our armed forces will rise accordingly. Lastly, energy management poses its own challenges. As we approach the limits of our grid capacity, we may incur additional storage costs. This information is invaluable, Elna. I appreciate your insight. Frankly, I'm glad to see you taking such an interest in our financials. Between myself and the House of Delegates, we are able to keep everything running smoothly in the absence of a clear guidance from your father. But with a king of your caliber at the helm, there's no telling how high we can soar. Your hard work during my father's decline is to be commended. Thank you. It was indeed quite the stressful time for everyone. I think that's enough for today, but we will have to come to a decision regarding our resources. Gold and energy exports have gotten us to where we are today, but if we are to stay relevant and protect our economy from global fluctuations, we need to diversify. I suspect you agree. I'll let you think about it, Your Majesty. Thank you, Miss Warner. This was indeed enlightening. Pleasure to finally share these chambers with you, King Ramas. He wants to have sex. Yes, I'm looking forward to our upcoming security briefing. Congratulations on surviving your first council meeting, Your Highness. I found it fascinating, Your Grace. They smiled at each other, not altogether sincerely. My counselors left. I sat for a few more minutes reflecting on what Elna had told and the others had said. Ooh, oh my god, girl, damn. We want to invest in Plavo. Oh, we also want to do that. Plavo abuzz as grand ceremony readies for King Ramus' consecration. Entire country honors the King Ramus. Incident in FSR Slavaria draws scrutiny. For the first time in 6 years, tension with the UC have resurfaced, following a deadly incident in the Federal Socialist Republic of Slavaria. According to reports relayed by the Red Unity Chronicle, an explosion during a protest left 3 demonstrators and a policewoman dead. The protest, which centers on calls for religious freedoms and economic reforms, has cast a spotlight on growing discontent in one of the UC's most vital agricultural regions. While details surrounding the expansion remain unclear, eyewitness accounts suggest it may have been triggered during a standoff during authorities and protesters. Slavaria, already grappling with the Tsarist push for religious recognition and mounting demands for trade liberalization, now finds itself at the epicenter of a deepening divide. Yikes, dude. Arrange a classical concert. I first need to fund the Plavo and Salvas tourism. As well as expansion for the Crown Administration. Suppose not. Classical concert for the noble houses. As a gesture of the noble houses and to celebrate your mom. Okay, organize the concert. Celebrate the cultural music heritage, a proposal to host an extravagant classical concert featuring the renowned Rizian composer Antonio Gari Albeni has been made. This event could serve as a display of the monarchy's support of the arts and reinforce its prestigious image among the noble houses. Albeni arrives in capital as nobles gather. Nobles of all Rizia's royal houses have descended on Port Drazon to attend the classical concert hosted by King Ramos. Now famed composer Antonio Garia Albeni has also arrived, just in time for his moment to shine. Thousands of commoners had gathered near the airport to catch a glimpse of the celebrity, but failed as he was quickly ushered into a limousine and driven towards the concert hall. Yamam. Festivities underway for consecration of the king. The king. Me, the king. Hello, William. Jubilant street festivals adorned with colorful banners and lively music engulf the city of Plavo as the impending consecration of the king ceremony approaches. Clergy led religious processions through the enthusiastic crowds beginning in the city center and ending at the gates of the revered Arch Sanctuary. The sanctuary remains closed to public worshippers due to the building's unrepaired structural damage. However, inspectors have certified that the area where the ceremony will be conducted, including the tomb of Caelus the Devout, are safe for the king's entrance. And so we shall. And so we shall. Do 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 do. Oh, let me stretch. Give me a second. Oh. I tell you what, though, I'm kind of sleepy. You guys mind if I end the stream a little early? Beep, 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 beep. I don't remember where we were in Rizia. Probably left a little too early. I'm still ready for the next DLC to come out for this game. I wonder what the next country is gonna be. I hope it's not in this area at all. I wouldn't mind the Baroness of Sordis, that would be funny. But I hope it's either over here in like UC, or over in Arcasia, or maybe here in this western area. I'm busy. I mostly just want to take a nap right now, because I have stuff to do. I have a bunch of stuff to do, so I want to sleep now and then get some energy back to do like chores and stuff. I just went to sleep yesterday night a little late. So I think this will be it for me. I'm gonna try and get a schedule out as well. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes, guys. I'm going to take a nap, I guess. I'm gonna go take a nap. I hope everybody has a good rest of your night. Disco Elysium Part 1. That's pretty good. Sweet. Alright, everybody. Have a good night. Bye-bye, Johnny. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.